public lecture on data literacy, no doubt that it's very necessary for library and information science students to learn and broaden their horizons about data literacy, especially in today's digital era. So to all the participants, to start this public lecture today, we will first sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. So all participants are expected to show respect while the national anthem is being played. Okay, thank you. Before we proceed to the next agenda, we also want to greet all the alumni that already joined us today. Thank you for joining us in this public lecture today. So next, we will move on to the next agenda, opening speech by the head of the Library and Information Science Study Program, Universitas Padjadjaran, Dr. Ute Siti Khadijah, SOS MSc. We invite Mrs. Ute to give her speech. So Mrs. Ute, please.
Ya, thank you Reza. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apakah suara saya sudah terdengar?
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Anda emang gak ikut?
Terima kasih. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here today at this wonderful place. Saya Ute Khadijah. It is such an honor for me to speak on seminar to end of semester. Thank you, Ibu Shamila. Halo, Ibu Shamila.
Halo.
Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome to our lovely guest lecturer, Ibu Shamila. Ibu Shamila ada? Halo, Ibu Shamila.
Halo. Assalamualaikum. Ya, thank you for inviting me.
Iya, terima kasih sudah
Terima
kembali
kasih.
ke kampus kami lagi.
Ya, insya Allah.
And Also all of you participants, especially lecturer and student of Library and Information Science. Thank you. Today's seminar, we will learn about data literacy as the ability to read, write, and communicate data in context. Di sini including and understand of data source and construct, analytic, method, yang nanti semuanya akan dijelaskan oleh Bu Shamila tentunya. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I need to hand over to Mr. Reza again, our today MC, to introduce our guest speaker to all of you. I would like to say once more on behalf of this seminar organizer, welcome to all of you. It's great to see you, many of you here. Juga terima kasih kepada Ibu Elnovani, moderator, Ibu Evi, dan teman-teman yang lain. Thank you for all of you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mangga.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Ute, for your opening speech. Okay, before we proceed to our main agenda, we will have a photo session. So please, to all the participants, to open their camera so that everyone can be. Okay. So I will accompany the photo session. Please to all the participants to open their camera before the photo session. We will wait. Okay. Mrs. Upi, I think it's already second.
Oke, baiklah kita mulai sesi pertanyaan. Baik, untuk di slide pertama. 1, 2, 3. Oke. Kemudian di slide yang kedua. Sudah siap? 1, 2, 3. Oke. Di slide 4. 1, 2, 3. Ya, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Upi. We will proceed to our next agenda, which is also our main agenda today, public lecture on data literacy. Before we proceed, I will introduce you to our moderator today, Mrs. Dr. Elnovani Lusiana. Let me introduce our moderator today, Mrs. Dr. Elnovani Lusiana. So she was graduated from Faculty of Communication, Universitas Pajajaran in year 2000. She also earned her Communication Science Magister degree in 2009 and her doctorate degree in International Relations in 2018. She had been a lecturer at Library and Information Science, Universitas Pajajaran for 11 years, focusing on public relations in library and also global literacy. Without further ado, I would like to invite on Mrs. Elnovani Lusiana to be our moderator today. So Mrs. Elnovani Lusiana, please.
Thank you, Reza, the Master of Ceremony. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for allowing me to be moderate this session to welcome Binti Dr. Shamila. Good morning, everyone. And she's Professor Madia and the current department in Pengkomputeran, Informatika, and Media. Okay, and Ibu Shamila is a doctor of philosophy from RMIT University. Master in Information MGMT, and also sarjana from University Teknologi Mara. Maybe this is not the first time for Ibu Shamila come to lecturing in our campus, in our study program. So I think everyone is already know you well. So I guess we can start the lecturing to Ibu Dr. Shamila binti Mohamed Shuhidan. The stage is yours. Silakan Ibu.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Elnov. Okay, then also I would like to say thank you from. I'm very thankful with you all today, and then thanks to Ibu Uter for arranging this very good knowledgeable sharing sessions, and then especially to the program Studi Perpustakaan dan Sains Informasi daripada Universiti Pajajaran. Dan apa kabar semua? Sebelum saya memulakan, I think you all, everybody is in a good health and in a good mood. Okay, so I've been given this topic whereby it's about the data literacy, whereby for the beginning I just give a very general idea or an overview about what is data literacy. As you know that I am actually a part of the staff, academic staff from the Universities of Technology Mara, whereby I come from the, now we are merging the faculty, so we know more Faculty of Information Management, which is actually from the School of Information Science. Yeah, we first is a computing department and science mathematics and also mass communications and media. So by having this merging, I think it is a good thing to strengthen our field, whereby we know that being as a information professional, especially for you all come from the backgrounds of Perpustakaan and Sains Informasi, we have to follow the latest trend, whereby nowadays with the technology advancement, we have to take up any possible new challenges, okay, in order to strengthen and give more from our profession. So let me share with you my slides, okay, which is about to explain about the data literacy. Okay. Okay, can all of you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay then. Okay, so today I will try about the presentation outline is what is actually about data literacy. But before we go into further what is data literacy, I would like to explain about you why data to the organization, in fact, including for the library perspective. Okay, tapi pada masa yang sama ya, saya untuk menggunakan dua bahasa, blended it through. Daripada itu juga kita juga ingin I will go further to see what is actually the previous study has been conducted through the data literacy, and then from there we are focusing about a few issue or gaps, challenges about this data, and then pertaining with the data literacy. Then we will go into further about the definitions of data literacy, and then why we so call that data as an organization assets, and then what is about the data perspective. And then I found that one of the research study, okay, they are having conduct a few countries and then to investigate the data literacy among their employees, and then what are the findings. So we would like to see that is it any impactful that data towards the organizational performance. And then from there, we can highlight the importance of data literacy, and we would like to conclude to draw the recommendations and ethics, and then before the final stage is conclusions. Okay, so as for the introduction, so what is data? Okay, as we know that data is the most powerful, valuable asset to organization. Before this, without we realize it, we keep on thinking about the most important information, the most important knowledge to our organization. But without we realize that data is actually the most powerful, valuable asset to the organization. And then why this? In order for us to support the data-driven decision, most of organizations nowadays, which is include for the library, they are working to become more data-centric by gathering and keeping data on their operations, clients' data, competitors, and also in order for them to sustain in the market. So by managing this data effectively, okay, it will minimize the loss of the money and time, and then operation process, which require employees to be data literate. Okay, so however, from previous study, from the literature review, it found that there is a lack of data literate, among the recent college graduates. So meaning that among the students, whereby it will give the significant barrier to the organization to become the data centric. So this is from the findings from the previous study. And then from there also, it found that data sharing also one of the complicated topic by the fact that there are many valid reasons for the researcher not to disclose their data. Okay, with the reason, they are hardly to share the data. Why? That's the reason. Okay, I think you yourself, being as students among your friends, sometimes you also reluctant to share your data with your friends. Why that's been happen? So, and then furthermore, findings from Cote say that from the study of ACRL, is highlighted that the trend point out why out of nowhere data literacy is become more important is due to that technology advancement. People now talking about open data, data plan management, big data, which indirectly impact to the development of the new initiative, and they need more resources that available must be quality and then standard, whereby it must be meet the scholarly needs, which include this thing is to be create awareness and alert to the information professional and also to the librarian. So why we are so concerned about this? Because all this while, whenever it is a mismanaged data, why it can happen for the mismanaged data is due to the duplication. What the meaning of duplication? Because if you notice that most of organizations, from each of the department, there are the data is scattered. Okay, they do not manage the data accordingly. Okay, so from each department A, department B, most of them have the data, but however, how they manage the data, and then it will create tendency of the lack of standardization, even though you are from one roof, from one organization. With that is also they're due to the lack attention to the quality of the data. I know that everybody keep on the data, they store the data, they maintain the data, but do you think that most of us are using or fully utilized of using that data? So do you think that it's necessary, whatever you receive the data, you keep it, you store it in your PC, laptop, document manually or electronically, okay, digitize it. But do you think that that is the quality data that you try to capture? Yeah. And then some of us or among the employees also, there can become a lack of sensitivity of the security and confidentiality of the data. We're not aware. Sometimes we just share it without we realize that that is the most important data, because later on I will explain to you, because data is the most important organizational asset, okay, to your company. Yeah. So what is data? Okay, data is a raw. Okay, it is simply exists and has no significance beyond its existence. It can exist in any form and format, such as it can become from the alphabetical, numerical, images, videos, sound. So it is actually can come from, derived from any form. Okay, and the most important thing, this data at this stage does not have any meanings of itself. Okay, in order to be meaningful, that data must be as a mean. Okay, so by doing the data analysis procedure, and it will generate the structured information that give you a very meaningful to your organization for the making a decision or for the forecast for the future operations. So with this data also, you can reveal the relationship or the patterns of your business so that you can make accurate decision making for the betterment of your organization. Okay, so if you know that, if you can recall, I think maybe you have gone through this or studied with your lecturers, Russell Okoff. Yeah, Russell Okoff did explain about how this data can be transformed to the meaningful, okay, action inside. Okay, you can see that the relationship that the data from the, like we said, that something that not meaningful, the data, once you process the data, it can be transformed to become as an information that will give a meaningful, and then understand that contact and relationship in terms that who, what, where, and when. Then by understanding the patterns of the information, it will make you to become a knowledgeable person, whereby knowledgeable person that you can reason it out, the question of why, okay, that will aggregate a point where it has been meaning with the purpose, meaning that you can really justify about that certain situation. Yeah. So by understanding it and by apply this knowledge, it will make you to become a wisdom person. So this is the most hierarchical, the highest, yeah, in the hierarchical of the knowledge spectrum that been explained by the Russell. Because if you treat data, okay, wrongly or interpret it in a wrong way, so it will give the consequences in the knowledge spectrum, whereby at the end of it, you will lead to the wrong decision making. Okay, so how's everything? Is it okay? Anyone?
Okay.
Yeah, is it clear? So I'm very sorry if I'm talk too fast.
Yeah, it's clear, Ibu Shamila.
Okay, good. Thank you. So now we are importance about data in the organization. That's why we need to know that to equip most of our workers, our employees, our staff with the data literacy. So what is data literacy? Data literacy is the ability to read, to work with, to analyze and communicate with data. So by having the data literacy, it will make yourself to become empowered person, because you can ask the right question of the data, and then you can relate it with the machine learning, build a new knowledge, you can make a decision, and you also can communicate about the meaning to others. Okay, so the key traits of the data literacy is that the first one, know what is the data that really appropriate to use in your organization, particularly related with the purpose or the goals of your organization. And later on, the second one, you able to interpret it, meaning that in order for you to able to interpret it, you can do the data visualization. You can read the data, you can interpret it, you can explain to people, and you can transmit it by using the graph and chart, that you are data fluently. Okay, and then whenever is it, the third one, you'll be able to recognize when data is being the misrepresented or used misleading, meaning that if someone reporting to you, by default, you will know that this data is not accurate. Yeah, and later on, the final stage is that you'll be able to think critically about the processed data, whereby it's so-called as the information that yield by the data analysis. Okay. So other terminologies that found in the literature, if you can find it, most people sometimes can call that data as a statistical literacy, quantitative literacy, or numeracy literacy. Yeah, but the most nowadays, the current trend, the term, operational term that being used, most of it is data literacy. So data literacy is actually by building upon the data democratizations, yeah, whereby based with the user experience. If a platform is difficult, it won't be used. If a platform doesn't serve all teams equally well, so meaning that it will not be adopted across the organization. So if a platform is not architect to bring the gap between the regular people and data scientists that creating the algorithm, then the era of data-driven anything will fail to materialize it. So that's why we are working as the information professionals, as a librarian. You have to make sure as a layperson, as the user, they can understand whatever the data that you're going to present it to them, that give a meaningful to them, for them to make the decision making. Okay. So this is another situation also. We keep on talking about the technology advancement. Nowadays, yes? Any question?
Maybe it's
Sorry for disturbing your presentation. You can continue. Thank you, Gusami.
Welcome. So as we know that nowadays we are being engaged with the technology advancement. All of us have a smartphone, we have a cloud, okay, in order to store our data. Am I right? So we engage ourselves with the machine learning. Okay, yes, it's true that we pour all the data. Okay, we keep it all the data. However, do you think that, ask yourself, question yourself, okay, do you think that you, whenever you need that data, is it easily for you to find it? Okay, so even though you dump all the data, so it will take time for you to locate it. Okay, in one fine day, you might be used to find one of the data, and then in order for you to make a decision making. So what if the answers are wrong? So that's why one of the person from here, this picture is said that then you keep on find it, stir it, looking it till you get the right data. So that's why in order for you to work with the machines, yeah, it's also need a human to analyze it, okay, even though you have a very sophisticated software tools, but in order to make it to become a reality, you also need a human capital or social capital to analyze it, to find it, to give a very meaningful data to get an accurate decision making. Yeah, so that's why, okay, in here, okay, just for a while, I do not know why it's not moving. That's why we keep on saying that, yeah, even though some of us might thinking that in order to store the data is just nowadays is very cheaper. But however, you have to think about it, the data, as I said, that you need to treat the data as the organization asset. Whenever we say an asset, it must have a cost and value to your organization. It's so true that in order for us to acquire the data, you need to involve money, cost to acquire, to store, and maintains the data. And then why you sometimes most of the organization, they can spend a lot of money in order to acquire, to store, and maintain the data, because at the end of it, it have a value, is worth it to your organization, and it also can generate income or increase the organization performance. Okay, so that's why it's also you need to think about the, because whatever it is, it must be involved the cost and value to your organization, because data is an asset. So data illiteracy, like I said, that is about the dealing with how to read the data, how to work with data, how to analyze the data, how to communicate and argue with the data. Okay, so one of the definitions, okay, from the previous study, data literacy is true to the ability to read, work, analyze, and argue with the data, whereby you is able to read the data by understanding what is data, what is aspect of this world to represent the data. And then you need to work with that data. You need to work, how to work with data? By creating, acquiring, cleaning, and managing the data. Okay, this one we can use it by using the data mining. Okay, maybe some of you have the experience of doing that. Yeah. Okay, and then after that, it's not only you try to capture the data, you create, you store the data only, but you not use it. So meaning that it will become the liability. We don't want this data to become a liability to our organization. So we need to analyze it. You need to filter, to store, to sorting, to aggregating, to comparing performance, such as the data analytic operation only. So later on, when you have it, before you draw a conclusion to make it to become a useful, meaningful information, you need to argue with the data. Okay, you need to support with a larger narrative so that you can communicate, you can justify the message to the particular audience or to your employer perspective. Yeah. So other definition of data literacy is whereby is the understanding what the meaning of data and how to read the graph, the chart appropriately. And then you need to draw the conclusions from the data by recognize when the data is being used in mislead or inappropriate way. Okay, that's why sometimes, without we realize it again, sometimes we can transform the data into a very useful meaning, chart, tags, images, videos, but you need to know that who are your intended audience. Okay, because sometimes as a layperson, as your audience, they not simply understand what you try to transmit that data. So make sure that once you already analyze the data, make sure that the data can be understand by the audience, because we don't want that the data that been misinterpreted or mislead in an inappropriate way. Yeah. So another definition of the data literacy is the ability to examine the multiple measures and multiple levels of data to be considered to the research and to draw the sounds of the interference from the findings. Yeah. So data literacy can have from two perspectives. Yeah, this is so important. From the consumer-based perspective, okay, your end user, they need the functional use of the data. They need to know that, okay, if you present it this way, so what are the function to them? Is it useful? Okay, so that is from the consumer perspective. In the meantime, for the organization perspective, is it the data can be reproduced and useful? Okay, especially for the research data management. Okay, so because from the organization perspective, they don't want whatever they spend, it might, like I said, it become a liability. Okay, is it you can useful? Is it the data is very effective? Okay, so and then in that, other than that, how are we going to protect this data to say that, to claim that this data is belong to us? So it's also related with the how to preserve the data for the future references. Okay, so it can be from the two main trend or from two perspectives. So in the context of data literacy in the organization, the staff should be taught with the essential skill to become more critical thinker, and then to evaluate that will enable them to produce as well as to consume the data. Because the data will become two, is either they will become for the business product, and at the same time, it also can become a productive asset to your organization. So as I told you, data as the organization asset. Yeah. In any business, this data is the value. But at the time where the data-driven decision, it is a must. So that's why we need to equip our employees with adequate tools and knowledge in order for them to analyze and communicate in a data literate way. Okay, especially for the librarian, for information professional, there is no escaping. Yeah, the numbers, statistics that we're working, regardless of your role, that you need to use the data to process it, to make a decision making. Like I said, that you need one appropriate data management so that you can see the patterns, okay, to predict for the future strategic planning. For example, how many data of the users or patrons that use the certain journal. Because why? I know that in order to subscribe a journal, it costs a lot of money. So what is the useful to subscribe that journal if the numbers of the patron of the user are very minimum, okay, meaning that it will tend to become a liability by subscribing that journal. It's no longer being used. So you might think it, present it to your boss, okay, or to the head of the librarian. So this is actually happens, throughout this the past of the 2 years. So we need to consider, are we using to continue to subscribe this journal or whatever? Yeah, so that is one of the example. Yeah, because with the surrounded with the data, the more question that we can equip with the skill and knowledge that required to make us to become more sensible person. Yeah, especially in terms of a decision making. So this is the findings that I said from the APEC data literacy survey that reveal to the skill gap, okay, that enable the employers to become a key factor for their making a strategic and also for the data-driven decision making. So this research is actually conducted by the census-wide, whereby a survey include with the 5,228 full-time workers that across country like Australia, Singapore, India, China, Japan, between this year, 30 January and 14 February 2018. Maybe you can find the latest research, yeah, but I found that because I need to highlight the important point from this research. Yeah, so from it, the status of the data literacy, that only 20% of workers are classified themselves as a data literate, okay, and only 23% that agreed that in everyone that in their business is empowered and proficient in using a data. Okay, and 49% admitted that they're feeling when they're overwhelmed, when they're reading, working, analyze with the challenging of data. Yeah, so data literacy and job performance, yes, 75% of the workers use the data once a week, okay, in their current job role. So 66% say that they have to work with the higher volume of data compared than 3 years ago. So you know that how in the current situation, yeah, we can say that it's more challenging because we involve lots of data, yeah, and 81% of workers strongly believe that they have adequate training to be data literate. So 72% believe that in order to improve the data literacy, they will need to increase their value at work, meaning that it will also indirectly increase their job performance. Yeah. So 90% of that saying that data helps them to do their job better. And 78% believe that the higher data literacy, it will enhance their credibility in their workplace. And 72% confirm that they would be willing to invest more time and energy in order to improve their data skill if they've been given a chance. Okay, so this is the sources. Then from that, we can find that 50% of workers are still struggling to differentiate between the data truth and manipulations. Okay, and then 20% of workers identify they only become a data literate. So you can question yourself, are you as a data literate? Okay, maybe we can do a survey, yeah, after this. Yeah, so can you see that from time to time, yeah, because we are involved, like I said, that the 4.0 industrial revolution, we involved with the Internet of Things, open data, big data. So we will involved with the huge numbers of data. So we struggle, it's challenges if we still not equip ourselves with a data literacy. What is data literacy? You'll be able to read, to work with, to analyze, to argue and critique and communicate with the data, okay, accurately. Why? Because you need to communicate this for the decision making, and indirectly it will improve your organizational performance. So the importance of data literacy is that it gives the meaningful to find out, to get the meaningful data, yeah, and then it will interpret the data, visualize, meaning that you can transform it into a graph chart. As I said, that accordingly you need to know that who are your target audience. Yeah, apabila you tahu siapakah dia you punya respon, siapakah dia you punya yang menerima pemakluman tersebut, maka you kena align that what is the encoding of the data that is suitable for them to make them understand. So kita tak nak ada salah faham ataupun salah menginterpretasi, okay, ataupun salah manipulasi of the data tersebut, yeah. And then by knowing the data, it will make appropriate for you to use the particular purpose. And then it make you to think critically. It make you to understand by using the appropriate analytical tools and method. Okay, and to recognize the data is either the data misinterpret or mislead. Okay, and at the end of it, the two most important thing is that by having the data literacy, you will make your department, your organization, your institution is more gaining competitive edge. You will more, you can compete in the market, okay, with other competitors, and in order for you to sustain in that market, yeah. And then it's also part of your responsibility to communicate that data become the useful informations to your stakeholder, okay, for those who are really have interest in your businesses, yeah. So that is the ability. That's why some people say that this data literacy is also synonym with the data storytelling, because you need to make meaningful whatever that you story to tell others, yeah. Okay, so we recap that I will say that the data literacy is so important that you need to interpret it, okay, you need to clarify it, because at the end of it you need to tell people, to tell people in inverted commas storytelling to others what is actually happening in your organization, so that people know about it. And then you also can meet, yeah, demand meet supply, okay, whereby this is the two most important thing, okay, in order to increase your organizational performance, yeah. So along the way I captures that from Carlson, yeah, the competency, okay, that you need to know, especially related with the data information literacy competency, is about the data processing and analyzing, data management, data preservations, and then you also need to skill up yourself with any software tools like data format, databases. And the most important thing, okay, after this, I will explain a bit about ethic and attributions. And then because you to produce the best data or data quality and documentation, data curation, and then UI, data preservation, okay, because you need to reuse back the data, and then data conversion, data visualization, discovery, metadata, or data which refer to other data, data description, and also the most important thing, one study they said that about the motivations of the research data management is a part of it, the behavior, the culture of the practices, because we need to create the awareness about this data literacy. So it is also one of the studies by Durham Public School, whereby in order to become the data literate person, you'll be able to find the data, you know how to locate the data, you'll be able to evaluate the data, data comprehension and data interpretation, and you'll be able to use the data, okay, for the decision making and also to argue and criticize with the data. Okay, Canon also highlighted that in order to become working in a data and management role, you need to become interpersonal skill. Yeah, you must have a very high level communication, including writing document, use the case study, and also you will be able to write a very good technical writing. Okay, and then you must have a very good personality, because what the personality is being a curiosity, assertiveness, adaptable, and always open to a new experience. Because with this, it will lead you to become more contextual knowledge. You are very knowledgeable. You understand about the discipline of specific research culture, and then you can scholarly communicate that, by having engage with the intellectual property, law, policy, norm, and also culture sensitivity. And then with that, you need to know about the data specific of knowledge and skill. What is the data type, metadata, data sharing, link data, data management, life cycle, data management process, which is include with the ethic, consent, copyright, creative commons issues. Okay. You also will lead to the knowledge appropriate information technology, okay, and then training and advocacy. Yes, you need that. And at the end of it also, I think that whenever I talk about social capital, because we're not working alone in the organization, we're working with others. So you need to communicate as much as you have the data, information, and knowledge with your team members. You need to have a very good team members that can provide a data support, okay, in terms from the library's perspective, other department from the IT, okay. So for the recommendations, I did mention about the data analytic, whereby this data analytic is one of the processes. Data mining, data analytic is a process. It's either in terms of qualitative, quantitative technique in order for you to process and enhance the productivity and business gain. And then this data need to be extracted and categorize it. While before you give a meaningful information, you need to identify, analyze it based on the behavior data and patterns. Then you need to make sure that you are using the right techniques accordingly with the organization requirement or goal. Okay, so make sure that, okay. So other recommendations is also that one of the university, I found that a library university, they do the training for the how to do the research data management. So it is a good way. Maybe you can think about from your library perspective, okay, to provide the research data management training to the student, to the staff, is either academic staff or from the admin staff, so that you can make the research more efficient and research, because from the research you can have a very rich full data, and then from that data you can use for many ways to predict, to forecast, to especially to improve the university's performance. Yeah, and then you must compare with data protection law. Make sure that after you do the data, that data must be kept to store to preserve with the protection law. And then you should know that the data ownerships, okay, some of the data need to be embargo, so you need to know that. Yeah, and then so that you will have a very managing of the data resources, storage, tool, and skill. And you have to make sure that in order to not waste, sometimes people will say that what for you are doing this research, after that you only have a very large of data, and then you not only one off, okay, only for a short term, then after that what's next? So you make sure that this research can be research reproducible, so it can be useful for other occasion too. Yeah, okay, so like I said that this research also need to involve with the ethics. Ethics is so important, meaning that you know that to use this data in a responsible, okay, way. Okay, if you know that this data is very confidential, you need to have the very good judgment, trust, authenticity, and integrity. You need to know how to assess it, privacy, okay, security, because all of this is actually will bind with the upholding the law. Okay, so now while waiting, okay, before I draw the conclusion, okay, maybe you can do this after this from the, I just got it, the data literacy project. So in order to test, okay, is either you, what personality you are in terms of data personality. Okay, so please, yeah, you can use it, this link after this to assess is either you are data aristocrat, data knight, data dreamer, or data doctor. So this is the categories among the data that I mentioned. Okay, maybe you can try, yeah, yourself after this. Yeah, so as conclusion, I will say that, yeah, report from the data center, okay, they said that about 800 million, yeah, from the global workers will lose their job by the 2030, whereby the result of the automations and robotic. We keep on saying that, yeah, nowadays we keep on thinking that technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence will take over the stuff. Okay, however, Morrow and Gartner said that data literacy is a must skill in the workplace, whereby, as I said, that data is come from the human, because human also is put all the data, yeah, in order to make the robot to work out. Am I right? And then it is a basic for the competition, directly lead to the organization performance. Therefore, it is important to highlight that data literacy is one of the important factor element for the future job skill demand, which include as the future information professional and librarian. For example, for especially you need to know the research data management. Okay, with that, thank you. So I just want to share with you, when data and stories are used together, they will resonate the audience on both intellectual and emotional level. With that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ibu Shamila, for your very enriched presentation. It is light up our day, and we would like to give opportunity to the participant to elaborate more about data literacy. So I will give first session to the 3 participants to give a question or maybe response to your presentation. So please, for the audience to prepare and give your hands, or maybe you can open your microphone. The committee, is the participant allowed to open the microphone? Yeah, okay. So I give first session to discuss for 3 participants. Please, if you interest to give response or
maybe you want to give question to Ibu Dr. Shamila. Yeah, we have Pak Kusnandar in the chat room. He is one of our like senior lecturer, middle senior maybe, not senior yet, but not young also. Okay, Pak Kusnandar, I want to know, is there any specific advice for librarian to become more sufficient on data literacy? Maybe Bu Shamila can give answer or explanation about it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Elnov, and then thank you for the question from the
Bapak
Mr.
Kusnandar. Yeah.
Bapak Kusnandar. Yeah, okay, thank you. How are you, Bapak Kusnandar? Are you listening?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Pak
then thank you.
Kusnandar.
Mau dilihat rupanya bagaimana ya. Okay, tidak mengapa. Okay, then yes, thank you for the question. Okay, I will say that before this, to be honest, that become a librarian, yeah, most of them is actually looking for the traditional role, yeah, whereby what I can say that for the traditional role, there's only do their routine task, yeah. But nowadays, yeah, from time to time, we know that we are dealing with so many things, like especially I said that data, yeah. So it's either you realize it from time to time, you get more requests, it's either from student and also from a researcher, academician or admin staff. Bila saya tengok ya, salah satu, can I speak in Malay? Okay. Boleh ya? Salah satu perkaranya, ya, salah satu perkaranya adalah apabila mereka perlu membuat kajian, ya, sebagai, kalau saya sebagai researcher, ya, I always needs help from the librarian. Am I right? And then kadang-kadang ada juga perlu diaudit, mereka perlukan certain dokumentasi, ya, dokumentasi tersebut, dokumen tersebut, data tersebut. Then you need to find it. Sometimes you cannot just simply answer that this is not my job scope. Am I right? So from that, from time to time, kita merasakan librarian is so important in order to give a supporting role for others, staff, okay, especially within the same organization. So in order for you to become more, like I said, that accurate for the data, okay, especially dealing with data, you need to upgrade your skill. You need to go more training. You need, it's either you like it or not, you need to equip yourself, especially for the research skill. You need to read more data, and then especially you need to read, you need being able to become as a data visualization. Data visualization, data manipulations, because you need to give a very meaningful data, okay, to the user. That is what I can say that. Okay, bukan saja kerja selama ini hanya doing the classification, cataloging, but nowadays I think librarian is what I can say that you are actually the knowledge hub. Okay, whereby most of the people are referring to you in order to get the right sources. Yeah. Thank you. So saya harap dapat menjawab ya Pak Kusnandar.
Iya, Pak Kusnandar, mungkin Pak Kusnandar belum dapat merespon to the explanation very clearly from Ibu Dr. Shamila. Thank you, Ibu Shamila, for answering the first question. Now we have the second question from Hakim. Hakim asking about how to respond about the abuse of data for personal gain, like as manipulate data in a library or in the research. Thank you. Maybe you can answer to Hakim, and Miftah, you are next. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Hakim. Hakim, can I hear your voice, Hakim?
Hakim,
Hakim,
where are
you
you?
there? mungkin agak pemalu ya di sana ya.
Yeah, yeah.
Saya ingatkan.
Of course.
I know that you
but the
are.
curiosity is already there.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay deh, enough. Saya ingatkan apa di sana ya, mesti apa nama para pelajar, para academic staff, mesti apa very beautiful and handsome girls and guys. That's why I'm looking forward to see you. Maybe one fine day I will go there. Yeah.
Of
Okay,
course,
then.
Hakim give response that he can
Okay,
open the camera because error
Okay.
system. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Okay.
It's
Thank
okay.
you, Hakim.
Okay, thanks Hakim. No worries. One fine day, maybe we can meet Jeff from face to face. Okay, then Hakim. In order to respond your question, yeah, how to respond on the abuse data, yeah, meaning that some people might use it for their personal gain.
Excuse me, the committee, please. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Hakim. In order to respond your questions, whereby you said that some of us might misuse of the data, am I right, for their personal gain. So that's why, again, there I said that the competency as a librarian or any caretaker of the data, you might bind with the data protection law. Or you need to know that even though you need to create awareness about the ethics. Like I said, that are the responsible for you to use the data. Okay, so by having the data protections, okay, you need to know that the data ownerships. So by that, in general, we as the user, we also need to know the ethics of the using of the data. If it is belong to you, if it is actually you actually get the permissions to use the data, to manipulate the data, by all means, you are responsible to share, to communicate the data. But if it is another way around, if you don't get any permissions of using it, so meaning that you don't have the right to use the data. Meaning that in other way around, you may get a penalty if you still use that data. Okay, so data protection, data ownership, ethics is the most important things. Okay, Hakim, is it answered your question?
Yeah, maybe we will wait chat from Hakim. We hope it is explain your curiosity about data protection. And we still have Miftah, the last question in first session. Please, Miftah, I see you can open your camera and maybe you can interact with Ibu Dr. Shamila.
Okay, thank you Ibu Nova sebelumnya. Okay, first thank you so much for Miss Shamila for giving a very interesting lecture. Okay, as you said, that data is related to the job performance of people in organization or company because data is needed for their decision making. But in this Internet of Things era, IoT, not only organization or companies, but anyone who has internet can access data very easily. But there is also a lot of fake data, such as fake news or hoaxes. And my question is, if someone still believes in hoax news, does this happen because the person doesn't have data literacy? And who is responsible for that bad data like fake news and hoaxes? And how can people can improve their data literacy, not just only read data, but to work with data and analyze data properly? I think that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miftah. Okay, then thank you for the question. And how are you today, Miftah? Are you okay? Wow, there's a new style, yeah, like K-pop style, yeah, hair over there. Are you a student? I mean, which level are you student? I mean, degree or diploma? S berapa?
S1.
Exacto. Okay, good, good. Okay, then. So, okay, thank you, Miftah, for the question. I think the question is very good question. Become as a user, okay. In fact, being as a student, as a workers, as a student, maybe you would like to have a better person, to become a better person, and then to improve your study result by having a data literate as a data literate person. And for those who are working, maybe they can say that, like I said, that I've shared with you. With the data literacy, it is actually undoubtable that they will increase for their job performance. So how are we going to deal with this hope, okay, with the untruth data or information? Is that, again, what I can say that, yeah, by having a data literacy, is not only that you know how to read a data. The most important thing, that is only the very basic skill. What is the most important thing is that you need to work with data. Practice make perfect. I know that. That's why I will encourage that. Even though for my student, I will encourage them to try and error, to work with your own data, and then to see that how this data is really give a meaningful for the right decision making at the end of it, in order to answer the research question. Because I'm also teaching research method classes, so that you have to play around with it. Sometimes it might be useful, and then sometimes it might be not. Okay, so you need to practice it to see that which is actually data, and then to make sure that data is very accurate for you to make a final decision making. Okay, so that's why you need to have that competency to work with data. Okay, then in order to work with data, you can start do a discussion, because that's why I think that the skill of to become your personality, to motivate you to discuss with others, to see what is other point of view before you draw the conclusion, before you communicate the data with others. So that is also another stages that I think that being as a student, even though being as a staff, you need to see is that. And one more thing, yeah, again, you cannot, like I said, that in Malaysia we use perkataan you shock sendiri. You know what is shock sendiri? What can ibu now Dr. involved boleh shock sendiri apa? You don't just, what can I say, that shock sendiri, you just thinks that whatever you thought is the right thing. You need to have other say, okay, in order to support, or with other previous study literature, in order to support, to justify your conclusion later on. Okay, yeah, if Mr. said that we have motto, sharing before sharing, saring before sharing. Okay, yeah, you need to filter before you share. And then di Malaysia, kita kata tak pasti jangan kongsi. If you're not really sure about it, okay, there's no other literature, or you cannot refer is something, people just say, just as a rumors, so you don't simply share it. You don't just follow others. Okay, so you have to make sure that whatever you said is been filtered. It must be accurate. It must have a supporting authority and credentials sources. Then you will say that your data is accurate. Okay, Miftah, is it okay, Miftah?
Yes, that's very enough, Miss.
Okay,
thank you
then.
so much.
Okay, nanti
Yeah,
Miftah saya akan guna ya you punya moto tu dekat kelas saya, Miftah 2022, saring before sharing. Yeah. Thank you for the new knowledge today. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Miftah. Terima kasih, Bu Shamila. Your attendance is always inspiring. Yeah, thank you, Ibu Shamila. Sometimes I confuse that. Are you lecturer or motivator?
Both, I think, because in order for us, because sometimes, betul kan Ibu Envo, in order for us to give lecture in the class, we also need to put the injection of motivation. If not, our student will sleeping all the way, and we are just talking alone. Shock sendiri.
You did it. Not only our student, but I myself become motivated by you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I try to remind the audience to fill the presence in the chat room. the committee already put the link to give your presentation today. You can fill it in the chat room. Yeah, thank you. And maybe we will continue to the last session for our discussion. I still invited for 3 question or 3 participants to give question to Ibu Dr. Shamila. Okay, let me see. We have in the chat room maybe. Oh, not yet. Ibu Shamila, did you already answer for Endang UITM? I think you. What competency must data specialists have? Can a librarian become a data specialist as well? Yeah, I think some of the answer already mentioned, but maybe you can specifically answer for Endang. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Ibu Endang jauh bertanya soalan tu ya. Okay then. So, okay ya. For the question is that I think what I can say that the competency is already been discussed before. However, in order to become, the question is either the librarian can become a data specialist. Yes, yeah. People so call that data scientist. Am I right? We keep on saying that data scientist. Actually, yes, I think any profession, they can call themselves as data specialist, data scientist, as long they involve their job with the data. Yeah, if you working with data, if you can read the data, if you analyze the data, if you communicate the data, so it's so true that you also can call yourself as a data scientist or data specialist. Okay, but for sure, because if you think that you are a librarian, we just call us as a librarian profession, but this is the job scope that you need to add on to become a data specialist or data scientist. Okay, is it okay, Endang?
Yeah, I hope Endang is had the answer. Yeah, and we move to Devita Chandra. Devita Chandra, I see your hands in your screen. So please, I will give chance to Devita Chandra to give a question for Ibu Shamila. Can you open your camera?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I cannot open my camera right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Please introduce yourself and share your question.
Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Elnovani. And my name is Devita Chandra. I have a question. So there is a particular slide from your presentation that captured my attention, which is about 12 data and information literary competencies, which started from data processing and analysis all the way to cultures of practice. So are those competencies used to determine someone's data literacy level? Let's say like someone is only capable of one of those competencies, like let's say data preservation. So can we say that person is literate, or is there any other indicators that can determine someone's level of data literacy? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Miss Devita. Is it Devita? Okay, your question is actually come from one of my slides. Am I right? It's about the studies, previous studies. Okay, saying that there's among the competency. Okay, or to become a data literate. Yes, among of it, if you say that one of it is about the data creation or data preservation, said yes. Become a librarian without you realize it, you is actually have that kind of data literacy, because along the way you need to preserve the data. Am I right? You need to preserve. In order to preserve the data, you need to have to know about the technique, about being able to read the data before you preserve it. So in a way, yes, that is among the important competency in order to become a data literate person. Okay, so you have to follow that. That's why I said that it is like matching, okay, become a librarian. So this is among the things that you need to know, and then you need to upgrade it yourself. So you need to align it with your job scope, become as a librarian. So among that, actually, it is already the code of practice that you're doing being as a librarian. However, as I said, that the last one, culture of practice, COP, that is the one that you need to apply it in your routine job. Okay, Divita, is it okay?
Okay, Miss, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
answer.
Thank you,
Devita.
Devita.
Yeah, thank you, Devita, for your response and your question. And Bu Shamila, I need your attention because we have a student with special needs, and he is very special. Raihan Ramadian. I want to
Okay,
ask
thank you very
something.
much.
Yeah, so
Hello,
please,
hello
Raihan.
everyone.
Raihan, you can open your microphone first. Yeah.
Halo, ya,
Yeah,
halo,
hello Raihan.
halo, selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum
Selamat
warahmatullahi
pagi.
wabarakatuh. Salam
Waalaikumsalam.
sejahtera. Hello everyone. Bagaimana kabarnya
Ya, terima kasih Raihan.
Shamila di
Baik.
Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia?
Ya.
Saya akan mau bertanya tentang how about literation, tentang literasi. Perbandingan literasi di Indonesia saja masih rendah. Bandingkan di negara saja di Malaysia cukup bagus. Nah, itu saja. Thank you very much.
Ya,
Thank you
terima
very much.
kasih Raihan. Ya,
Wassalamualaikum
ya.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you Raihan and Ibu Shamila. You can answer Raihan.
Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum Raihan. Thank you for the question Raihan. Okay, then Raihan, ya tadi Raihan bertanya mengenai bagaimana ya kedudukannya sama ada di Malaysia, di Indonesia. Okay, kalau saya lihat melalui pembacaan saya ya, di Indonesia sebenarnya telah banyak discussion has been discussed ya a few years back ya about the big data and data science ya, sebenarnya telah dihujahkan. Namun pada saya disebabkan population or majority is much more bigger than the Indonesia. That's why the issues of fake news, false news is increasing. I think that is so true ya. Jadi bukan saja kita I mean we are comparing like A to B, B to C. Apa yang saya ingin nyatakan di sini adalah kita harus create the awareness. So itu utamanya. Maksudnya that is so important because it's so true. Sebelum ini ya kalau bukan kita bercakap di Asian country, even though the Western culture pun kita sebenarnya telah tersasar kerana kita keep on saying that we aim for other things. However, kalau kita lihat daripada knowledge spectrum tadi, data ini perlu betul. Data ini harusnya disahkan dahulu sebelum kita proses dia untuk menjadi semuanya sebagai wisdom person. Jadi we have to back to the root ya, daripada akarnya. Apa dia akarnya? Itu adalah data. Jadi maka kita perlu memperolehi, kita perlu membaca, kita perlu menganalisa data yang betul dan sahih. Maka secara tak langsung indirectly it will give the accurate result. Okay, Raihan, is it okay for you, Raihan?
Yeah, I think Raihan already expect the answer. Thank you, Bu Shamila. And I guess this is the last question from Raihan that closing our sharing discussion today about data literacy. I think Bu Shamila can give the last word to motivate all the students to become maybe sensitive or smart and creative or ethic in this data literacy topic. Yeah. as motivator.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think without again tanpa kita sedari kita dalam kehidupan kita seharian, sama ada kita bekerja sebagai pelajar, we involve with data and information. Okay, jadi seharusnya kita kena bijak memilih yang mana satu data ataupun maklumat yang terkait dengan kehidupan kita untuk kita membuat keputusan yang tepat. Okey, kerana itu kita harus menjadi seorang yang data literate. Okey, kerana apa? Sebab bila you dapat the right data, maka secara tak langsungnya you akan membuat keputusan yang tepat dalam kehidupan you. Dan that's why tadi masa saya before I end up my presentation, I've conclude that data is actually untold story. Ya, data ni banyak. Kita tidak tahu dan it is actually which is actually the right story that you would like to write in your life. Am I right? So you have to pick up the right data so that you will managing in a right way so that your storytelling with a very wonderful story that you can tell to everyone. Dengan itu, thank you so much.
Right. The age of story, but you have to make story with the right information and the right data. Thank you, Ibu Shamila, for your presentation, for your sharing today, and thank you for all the participants and the study program become host for this precious moment. And I, as moderator, allow me to close this visiting lecture session with Ibu Dr. Shamila, and I give back to the Master of Ceremony, Reza, please.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Shamila, our visiting lecturer, for the presentation that have been given. It really gives us new knowledge and perspectives as information specialists, librarians, lecturers, and students, all of our occupations. Okay. Thank you also to Mrs. Elnovani as our wonderful moderator today. We learned today that the ability to read, work with, analyze, and argue with data as the part of data literacy. It involves understanding what data mean, concluding it, recognizing if there is any misleading. So it is very important for us to be both critical thinker and evaluative thinker at the same time. Also, we as user, we should know the ethics to be responsible on using the data. Okay, we are already in the end of this public lecture, but I hope it's not too late to greet our guests from both Indonesia and Malaysia and other countries maybe, from University Teknologi Mara, Universitas Bengkulu, Universitas Riau, Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta, Universitas Islam Negeri Jakarta, Universitas Islam Syekh Yusuf Tangerang, President University, all the lecturers, alumni, and students, also from National Library of Indonesia, National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, and many other institutions that I can't mention without diminishing my respect. Okay, thank you for joining us today. So all our dearest participants, lecturers, guests, alumni, and students, on behalf of Library and Information Science Study Program, we would like to say thank you for your participation today and have a great rest of your day. We hope to see you in another public lecture or any opportunity in the future. I am Reza Ardian signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry, Mr. Reza, can I give some statement? Okay, for participant, we need for some certificate. You can call me. You can ask me to my email. The email is Lutfi. I put in the chat. Lutfi 12 002@mail.unpad.ac.id. Okay, thank you, Reza.
Okay, thank you for all the guests and participants. Thank you also, Mrs. Lutfi, for all the participants. Maybe can fill the can fill the list of attendees before leaving the Zoom. Thank you.